Welcome to Soccer in 60, presented by the Empire Strykers. Get ready for your weekly look at all the pro soccer teams in Greater Los Angeles. We've got all the news and analysis you need, from LAFC and the LA Galaxy to the Empire Strykers, Angel City FC, and Orange County Soccer Club. Now, buckle up and enjoy Soccer in 60. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Soccer in 60, brought to you by SAC Health System. We are your weekly footy fix here in the greater Los Angeles area. We're right around the corner from the Memorial Day weekend, and I think I could speak for all of us when I say I am looking forward to a break and some time away and off from the doldrums of the 9 to 5. Barbecues with lots of food, plenty of booze, and much to choose is what I want most out of this weekend. But as we imagine this and gear up for the next few days, let us bring you closer to it with some footy. So sit back, relax with your beers, wine, maybe your cognac, and let the good times roll. My name's Christian Filliman, better known as Philly, and joining me, Tim Colotz, Timmy K. Tim, what's up, my guy?
Oh, Philly, it's a beautiful day in the city. In the city of LA, and wherever else you're listening to us. A big shout out to our friends all across the country. We got people in Boston and St. Louis, even Maryville, Tennessee. And I'm happy to be here with you today, Philly, because we're going to miss each other over the next couple of weeks, because I'm Louisville bound, and I was told that's the way it's properly pronounced. And we're going to be all tracking the teams next week, but I'm going to miss you next week, buddy. I'll be out and about.
Yeah, and I'll be out and about afterwards, too, as I will be in North Carolina for the TST. And yes, it's pronounced Louisville. It's not Louisville, as Arkansas is not Arkansas. We got plenty to talk about today, folks. The clash in Carson, El Tráfico to most, perhaps El Trágico to others, depending on which side of the 110 you're on. Orange County, of course, the Empire Strykers segment. We're going to bring in Andy Reyes and Onua Obasi. Andy Reyes is representing the red, white, and blue over in Azerbaijan. Onua Obasi is going to talk to us about free agency. And, of course, we're going to talk about Angel City. All right, but before we get into El Tráfico, Omnitrans. Experience the thrill of game day with Omnitrans in partnership with the Strykers. Be in the heart of the action at Toyota Arena and let us take care of the ride. Heading into the game, hop aboard Omnitrans for a seamless journey to Toyota Arena. Simply download the Transit app to catch your bus and enjoy a stress-free trip on the Strykers. All right, all y'all out there listening to us, since LAFC played the Galaxy, our two segments, for the most part, are going to blend into one another. We're going to talk about the 25th installment of LAFC and the Galaxy, and then, of course, we're going to talk about the games upcoming for LAFC. They're going to take on Montreal Impact. Club de Foot Montreal. And then for the Galaxy, they're going to have the rematch against San Diego. All right, 25th installment of El Tráfico, folks. And it's a series that is 9, 10, and 5. This is if you're looking at it from the LAFC perspective. Always drama, always chaotic. LAFC with a slightly better run of form. Galaxy yet to win a game this season, but all bets are off when it comes to a rivalry match. No holds barred. These two teams don't like each other. The front offices don't like each other. The supporters don't like each other, but the players apparently do, and we'll talk more about that. Tim, let's get into the game, buddy. Why don't you start us off real quick?
Yeah, this has been, like you said, from the Galaxy side, it's a 10, 9, and 5 matchup, and this is a great game from the get-go. The energy inside of the stadium was incredible. You had a ton of LAFC supporters there. The place was packed, and lo and behold, Marco, those of young legs, Royce, has comes to play, and just in the 6th minute, on a great give and go at the top of at midfield, Peck comes down on that, streaks down on that right-hand side and puts a nice left footer on Hugo Lloris. Lloris tries to parry it away, and bada boom, bada bing, Royce is there, right place, right time. And just 6 minutes into this game, Philly, the home team is happy. 1-0 LA Galaxy, just 6 minutes in, buddy.
Yeah, the home team and home field advantage is something really important for the Galaxy against LAFC historically, because throughout this entire rivalry, LAFC had only won once. And you'd have to go back to April of 2023 in a game LAFC won 3-2. Last season, despite the fact that LAFC took 2 out of 3 against the Galaxy, the one game in Carson, LAFC was up 2-0, and then the Galaxy roared back. So home field advantage always plays into this equation. And attacking on that side of the pitch, Tim, on the Ryan Hollingshead side of the pitch, Peck was such a presence for the Galaxy going out there. And yes, he threaded it through. Lloris got his hands on it. Marco Reus at the right place at the right time. Royce cleaned up the garbage. Let's put it this way. So it's not a goal that's going to land on your best of the week. That's for sure.
It is not, but it did certainly help him win match player of the match day for sure. But you're right. He was the guy that comes by on Wednesday mornings and picks up the black trash can and the green trash can. And it's okay. Garbage goals are still a goal. They still look like top 90 on the far post on the score sheet, Philly.
Oh, I'm not calling it a garbage goal. It was a goal nonetheless. And that's the last thing that LAFC needed, because they don't win when conceding first. And this is a storyline that's gone on for years, in particular against the Galaxy. But it didn't take too long for LAFC to have an answer. While we talked about Royce not necessarily having a goal of the week candidate, somebody that did was Denny Bwanga with a rocket from the other side of the freeway. He absolutely outstretched and beats his former teammate, John McCarthy, and that dropped my jaw to the ground. That was such a beautiful goal. Denny Bwanga continues to do Denny Bwanga things, scoring in consecutive matches. I believe that's his 8th goal against the Galaxy in this rivalry. I mean, what a goal. Que golazo.
Yeah, and this is a beauty. And, former Galaxy stalwart Marky Delgado gets a great steal and puts it on Denny Bwanga's foot. And I got to tell you, Philly, this one was unbelievable. Like you said, other side of the freeway, I agree with you there. Johnny Mack had no chance at this thing, and that thing is a rocket ship headed for the far post. It was a beautiful goal. If you're a fan of the game, I don't care if you're a LAFC hater or whoever you are, this was just pure brilliance. And what I loved about the comments on the TV after Denny scored, the commentator said, doesn't he just love this game? Because Denny had a smile, that touched the back of his head. That's how much he was smiling. It was incredible.
Yep, they love it when he does his front flip in Los Angeles. All right, so when LAFC maintained that possession, Galaxy didn't have much of an attack, and maintain the possession LAFC did throughout the duration of the first half and to start things off within the second. A beautiful pass from Ryan Hollingshead would connect with Nate the Great. Nate the old razzle-dazzle, as my good friend Chris Lafferty likes to say. And he goes near side, beating John McCarthy on Nate Ordaz's left. His 3rd goal of the season, 5th across all competitions. All of a sudden, 2-1. But the game changes completely when the Galaxy and Greg Vanny take out their leading scorer, Christian Ramirez, and they put in Joseph Paintsel. And immediately, Paintsel is a pest to LAFC's defense. When he came on, and him and Peck started regaining possession for the team, and the Galaxy started controlling the tempo, LAFC did not have any answers. And lo and behold, a foul just outside of the box. Marco Reus has his opportunity to collect what would be a goal of the game, and the equalizer. 2-2, an entertaining game, but not without a bunch of controversy. So many things happened throughout this game. The foul, the supposed foul in the box by Ryan Hollingshead on Joseph Paintsel, nothing there in terms of VAR. But what did you think of the offside call? Was that justified, Tim? Is it hard to determine the angle? What do you think? You were a ref once.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to determine the angle. And I think the problem, and our producer Gunnar and I have gone back 100 times, back and forth on this 100 times. The problem that I have with VAR is that the assistant referees, the guys run on the sidelines, no longer are emboldened enough to raise a offside flag when the offside happens. They would rather have it go down and have the goal taken away versus pull the offside flag. Now, I watched it. I was not in the stadium. I watched it on TV. it is very difficult with the VAR technology that MLS has to determine whether or not that was offside. If you look at the shading on the field, it's close. And with the rules on offside now, that even if you've got half a pinky in an offside position, you're offside. So it's very difficult to do that. Maybe VAR has a view that we didn't have, but based on what I saw off of TV, you can't take that goal away. You can't. It's if you're the assistant referee and you're in position and you don't call it offside 40 yards away from goal, you can't take that goal away. It's a brilliant goal by Pack. He just boondoggles the defense, and the next thing you know, it's in.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's in the back of the net, and it's very difficult for me to have that goal taken away. I'm a Galaxy homer, don't get me wrong, but even LAFC, they looked at it and they're like, "Oh God, I hope VAR does something."
Yeah, bailed out. Armando Villarreal, who was at the comms in Texas, took a look at it and deemed it offside. But isn't that the freaking problem? Like, this is a family-friendly show, and I can't exactly use the words that I would like to on here. But in a single-entity league, I mean, think of most recently, Major League Soccer in San Diego, $500 million just for the right to play. With all the money that Major League Soccer has been garnering over the course of the last couple of years, you're telling me you can't come up with some better good technology to view that? What we saw did not prove decisive. Why can't they have the technology to flip things, draw that line, and do it like the rest of the civilized freaking world? We constantly make things difficult for ourselves here in the United States. The joke, MLS gonna MLS, do something about the VAR for Christ's sakes. I mean, it's absolutely pathetic that we get those kind of angles and then you can go see other leagues around the world and they actually do it in a way to make it simple and non-controversial. I hate that about Major League Soccer. Between the wham gams and the BS discovery rights and all that other stuff and the VAR, with all the money this league is making, they need to put it back up and fix this. Now, LAFC needed to make some substitutions. They started Nathan Ordaz and and David Martinez. They subbed them out. They brought in Jeremy Abobasi and Cengiz Ünder, who I honestly thought would be the players to start just because of the experience, the veteran leadership, so on and so forth. And then other substitutions started coming in. A lot of LAFC supporters are thinking Steve Cherundolo once again parked the bus, and it cost them dearly in this game. And so, folks, it looks like we're having some problems with Tim. So I'm just going to keep talking here. Look, as far as the LAFC supporters go, I take this as a loss. Despite getting a point on the road, this is a game LAFC absolutely should have won. It is undescribable how pissed off I was as an LAFC supporter to watch the way that game unfolded. Credit to the Galaxy for coming back and making this a game and obviously getting the point. But this was a terrible performance towards the end by LAFC. Did not need to go that defensive. The midfield substitutions came in because apparently Marky Delgado, Timothy Tillman were cramping up. I don't know. I can reserve my thoughts on that. I don't want to call it a gutless performance, but not one that I would be happy about as an LAFC supporter. As far as the Galaxy is concerned, though, I think this was a great performance by them. They managed to stay within it. And when we talked about this with Bradley Wright Phillips on last week's show, this could be the turning point for them. If LAFC went into Dignity Health Sports Park and absolutely smashed the Galaxy anywhere close to what the Red Bull would have done, I would have said curtain call, that's the season. But I think the Galaxy now have a chance and hope, and seeing what Paintsel and Peck did was incredibly interesting. And I mean, they just showed why they are some of the best players in this league. As far as the haters, again, for Steve Cherundolo, you look at some of the footage after the contest, and he's out there hugging Marco Reus. I know the players have their relationships with one another, but after a performance like that, that's probably something that I could have dealt with not having to see and endure. Steve is on his way out, as everybody knows, and for some, that's a good thing. For others, it's a head scratcher, but either way, it was just not the kind of performance against your rivals that you would want. I called it El Tragico. That's what it was for LAFC. It's El Trafico for the Galaxy because they managed to once again not allow their noisy neighbors up the 110 to go out there and defeat them at home. as far as LAFC's next performance goes, they're going to be on the road playing the team formerly known as the Montreal Impact. Club de Foot. If the Galaxy had a bad record, well, the next worst record in Major League Soccer is Club de Foot Montreal. 1-4-9 coming into the contest against LAFC, and that one came at the hands of a win against NYCFC, who actually isn't that bad of a team this year, 6-3-5. But yes, Club de Foot 1-4-9. This is a team that's only scored 8 goals. I repeat, 8 goals and allowed 23. Prince Owusu, got to keep an eye on. Luca Petrazzo, another one. Giacomo Vrioni. These are the key players for Club de Foot. These are the guys you need to watch. And as far as LAFC's history is concerned against Club de Foot, not really an extensive one as they're in the East Conference, and this is going to be a long flight for LAFC. The last time these two teams met was back on May the 24th, 2019, a game in which LAFC won by a score of 4-2. Prior to that, you'd have to go back to April 21st, 2018, where the Black and Gold put 5 on Club de Foot, back then known as the Montreal Impact, 5-3. So in 2 contests against Montreal, LAFC has scored 9 goals. And I would imagine that they are going to continue to beat this team. The best way to silence the critics is to get revenge by winning your next contest. A lackluster performance against another poor quality team like Club de Foot's going to start angering a bunch of people in Los Angeles that demand greatness and excellence. And while that is a tough thing to say, this truly is the city of champions. Look at all the victories that the Lakers have had. Look at the recent history of the Dodgers, the Rams with a Super Bowl, the Kings with a couple of Stanley Cups back in the 2010s, and obviously the LA Galaxy with the number of MLS trophies. And of course, you have to throw LAFC in there with the 2022 MLS Cup. People in Los Angeles have far too many distractions. They want champions. They want championship teams to follow. And for LAFC to continue to garner that level of attention, not from the supporters, because they're going to be there through thick and thin, but through the casuals. They need to put in some pretty interesting performances, and it starts against Montreal. Let's not forget that we'll get to see the likes of Kwadwo Mahala Opoku, formerly of LAFC, and if I'm not mistaken, Bryce Duke is still a member of Club de Foot. So a couple players to watch out for. Another player that to me is interesting, formerly of the New York Red Bull, Caden Clark. Caden Clark is up in Canada. So that's another guy to keep your eye on. All right, that's LAFC's preview for the Galaxy. They go out to contend with San Diego FC on the road. San Diego FC, very surprising team coming into this season. 7-3-4 is their record. They're currently sitting in 3rd place. 25 goals for. Only the Earthquakes in the Western Conference have more goals than them. As far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, if San Diego was there, they would be the hottest scoring team in that conference. But San Diego looks good. Anders Dreyer, a player that most Galaxy supporters will remember because he had a fantastic game when the Galaxy opened up their season. He's got 6 goals on the season. Chucky Lozano's got 4. These are the guys to pay attention to. For the Galaxy, they're going to obviously ride on the coattails of Marco Reus, who's been performing in a very stellar fashion as of late. And, of course, you bring in Peck and Painsil. If they're healthy, I think this team could absolutely start things around, turn their season around, and start making a push. Not much history between San Diego and LA Galaxy, of course, because, well, they only played each other once. But as far as the run of form is concerned, you'd have to give it to San Diego FC with the way they've been contending. So it's going to be a good one. Keep your eyes out on that. That game is going to be this weekend. And we'll be talking about it. May the 24th is when it is at 1:45 p.m. Pacific Standard. All right. So seeing if we could get all the connection stuff worked out with Tim. He said he's in Los Angeles. In reality, he's behind the orange curtain in a town called Placentia. I don't know what's going on there as far as bandwidth is concerned. So you might have to deal with me for a little while. Whether you like it or not, I'm still going to be here to inform and possibly entertain you as well. And I'm just going to take a quick break while I'm drinking this Topo Chico. And Topo Chico, hey, give us a shout. That's the LAFC. That's the Galaxy segment. And we're going to head on to the Empire Strykers. Now, before we do that, folks, National Core, one of the nation's largest nonprofit affordable housing developers and proud sponsor of your MASL team, the Empire Strykers. At National Core, they believe that soccer has the power to transform lives just like they do. They believe in building strong communities on and off the field. To learn more about National Core and their mission, go to nationalcore.org. Folks, before we get into our interviews with Andy Reyes and Onua Obasi, it's important to note that the World Mini Football World Cup is going on in Azerbaijan, in Baku. And that's where we caught up with Andy Reyes. The U.S. earlier today had their opening round match against Bosnia and Herzegovina, a game in which was very closely contended, but the U.S. would end up losing by a score of 4-2. This Bosnia and Herzegovina side was very well-oiled machine, put together. They have the chemistry, whereas the U.S. team is a collection of the best small-sided football players in the U.S., most of them coming out of the Major Arena Soccer League, but they haven't had the time to build the chemistry that Bosnia and Herzegovina dealt with. Former MLS player, one that you would definitely been familiar with, and I'm going to get his name in just a second because I'm having a little bit of technological difficulties myself. For you fans of FC Cincinnati and for you fans of the Philadelphia Union, Haris Medunjanin is the player that took care of business. He had a hat trick for Bosnia and Herzegovina. Sorry about that. I was kind of lagging myself. All right, that's what happened there. We're going to roll to that interview with Andy Reyes as he talks about his experience in Baku. And then from there, we're going to go right into Strykers head coach Onua Obasi, who's going to talk about free agency, the Strykers, and, of course, what to look forward to potentially down the road. So let's go to that interview right now. Take it away, Andy Reyes. Joined by an Empire Strykers icon who is currently representing Team USA at the Mini Football World Cup in Azerbaijan. The Americans just concluded their opening game of the tournament, and we're going to talk to him about it. It's such a pleasure to have with us from the capital of Azerbaijan, Baku, defender midfielder Andy Reyes. Andy, thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you guys for inviting me, and it's always a pleasure.
Andy, let's dive right into it. The opening game for you guys was a frustrating one. I mean, despite dominating possession and creating several high-quality chances, you end up falling 4-2 to a Bosnia and Herzegovina side that was, well, organized, I could say, absorbed the pressure and scored several times against the run of play. If you don't mind, tell us how the game unfolded from your perspective, and do you guys feel you should have come away with something from that match?
Yes, it's a little frustrating coming with the loss. We really thought we should came out with some points, but we did know that they have a lot of experience with mini football. They play very often. They played the Euro last year, so they're well experienced with this. And like you said, they were really organized. They knew how to cut angles, cover when somebody tried to take somebody one-on-one. But despite that, I believe we should have scored at least 5.
From what I've been told, you only arrived in Azerbaijan recently and after a difficult travel itinerary. Now, you mentioned how Bosnia and Herzegovina was well organized. Like, y'all not having really trained with the team much and no doubt dealing with some fatigue and the time difference. How'd you feel out there? Would it be fair to say that some of those factors weighed in on the results?
I mean, it could have, but I don't like to think about that stuff already. You know, that already passed. We have to move on. I mean, I'm pretty sure they flew as well. We don't know their itinerary, so we just have to look forward, and we have to get some points the next 2 matches.
Mm-hmm. Now, let's look at Brian. Obviously, Brian in goal, and Justin Stinson, Brian Orozco, Strykers goalkeeper, and Justin Stinson on the attack, both looking really good from my perspective. Brian making several really key saves. Well, they would have been key if the results had been different, I guess. Justin causing a lot of headaches with his play. What did you see from those guys? And have you had a chance to get their takes on the game yet?
We actually didn't really speak much. We usually get rushed because there's games right after, so we don't really have too much time. Then we have to clear the locker, so everything is rushed. Then we have to come to dinner and stuff like that. Coaches spoke briefly, but they actually mentioned that they liked how we played. It's just they capitalized and we didn't.
Yeah, that's fair. The biggest name on the other side was a guy by the name of Harris Medunjanin, former Philadelphia Union 2014 World Cup player for Bosnia Herzegovina. He scored 3 goals for the team, so arguably made a big impact for them, even though he hit the empty net a couple times. What did you see from him? What did you feel? What was it like playing against him, and what does he add to their team?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I never look at the other team, right? I mean, it's good to know who you're playing against, but I just like to worry about my game. And to be honest, I didn't know a player on their team. I did watch a game though. I did watch a game that I found on YouTube just to kind of see their style of play and you know. But I mean, like I said, the whole team, nobody there is an individual. They play as a unit. Nobody try to take anybody one on one. They just know each other. You know what I mean? And we're still gelling, right? Like we traveled. We've had only a couple practices, and this is an all-star team basically, and we're still getting to know each other. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. And obviously that certainly does play a factor. A lot tougher to play against a team that has the chemistry built in. But let's look at things more from a macro perspective with a slightly more general question. Now, if you don't mind, just share with us briefly what it's been like being around the team, as well as your impression of the tournament so far, the facilities, how it's organized. Like, what's the experience been like thus far?
No, well, like you guys mentioned, I can compare it to when I went to Tunisia. Um, I feel like it's way better organized. The facility is amazing. The field is basically new, you know, and it's like a big arena. It's like almost playing in the Toyota arena, and and we're getting used to the city here in Baku, and it's honestly weather-wise, it's almost like over there in Rancho. When it's windy, it's really windy. When it's hot, it's pretty hot. But we haven't really got any extreme weather, so it's been good so far.
Saw the Baku in the Europa League final a couple of years ago. It looks interesting and modern, and the captions that we've seen and the vids, that arena does look pretty modern and awesome. So hopefully you guys get an opportunity to go walk around Baku. I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I know it's still kind of early on. Of all the teams, though, you've seen so far, I mean, obviously Romania being the defending champs, but who's impressed you the most based on what you've seen? Who's passed Andy Reyes' eye test so far?
No, well, obviously Romania, you mentioned it. They're always very organized. They're a really good team. I've seen them, even the World Cups that I didn't come to, I was watching them. They play very well. And the one that I did go to in Tunisia, they were one of the top teams as well. The Czech Republic is always pretty good, and they tied Argentina, so Argentina's came with a good team this year. Portugal is the first time I see Portugal playing one of these, and they won their first game. So it's a lot of good teams. Honestly, everybody's good. Azerbaijan is really good as well. They looked. We actually went to that game for the inauguration, and they look really organized. They know how to play this style of game.
Mm-hmm. Now, final question for you. You need to get some rest, need to get some sleep. So let's just quickly look ahead to the game. You guys get a day, not a day off, but a day without a game tomorrow, and then you're back in action on Saturday against Poland. A team that has raised some eyebrows by beating the reigning runner-up in Kazakhstan 2-1 in their first game. Did you happen to catch any of that game? If so, what do you make of Poland, and how do you feel heading into that game? A game that comes with the pressure of now obviously needing a result.
Well, just looking at the result, like there's no room for errors now. We have to go with the mentality that we can beat anybody out there, and just play with a little more intensity, I would say. like I said, there's no room for errors, and it was just probably first game jitters type of stuff, and we can't let more mistakes, The mistakes are costing us, and we got to put it in the back of the net.
Of course, Andy, at the time of this recording, it's about 10:45 p.m. your time in Baku. So as Gunnar mentioned, it'd be good for y'all to get some rest. But, on behalf of myself and everybody here, I just want to say good luck to you. We're so proud that you're representing the red, white, and blue over there in Azerbaijan. Give Brian Orozco, Justin Stinson, and all the MASL boys our love as well. And looking forward to seeing you soon.
We'll do. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Andy. Good luck. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
All right, so that was our interview with Andy Reyes, and at this point, we're going to dump Gunnar from what we have here. We're going to get back into a conversation with head coach of the Empire Strykers and Newtown Pride, Onua Obasi. First and foremost, my man, in case I haven't said this to you before, congrats on a hell of a season with the Empire Strykers and winning Coach of the Year in the Major League Soccer League. I know different results in the postseason would have meant more to you, but on behalf of Striker supporters, thank you for making us believe again. And as a broadcaster, I selfishly thank you and the team for making my job a bit more fun than it has been in recent years.
Nice one, mate. Yeah, it was a season that maybe, it didn't end the way we wanted to, but I'm glad we had some special moments and we got a lot to build on for next season.
Absolutely. And now with the season being over, you've obviously had some time to reflect. How would you assess how the year went for you in terms of performances on the field?
So obviously, my first year as a head coach, and I say this to my players all the time, coaches make mistakes, same way players make mistakes. And it's the ability to analyze that and improve on that I think makes for the best coaches in the world. So, there's definitely areas to improve. Individually, I think as a team, we had some really nice moments down the stretch. One game against San Diego in particular where there was a couple of games where we dominated them in terms of shots, but we give up some bad chances. But there was the last home game of the season, not only because it was in front of a sellout crowd, 7,000 plus people, I believe. It's just we put on a really, really good performance. So many good moments, really our style coming together, and it was a domination. It took an absolutely special golazo from Leo, the Brazilian in San Diego, who, obviously a top player, and he pulled out a special moment to beat us. But that was a game that, from a coaching point of view, from a performance point of view, it's like, our second last game of the regular season was an unbelievable performance. And then even Dallas, to lead us into the playoffs, that performance again was like a blueprint of, complete domination, shot count was crazy. It was a clinic, really. The first half especially, we gave them absolutely nothing. And that's kind of my philosophy and my ideas. The players performing at that level, it's just a fantastic feeling.
Of course. Yeah, that was an exciting game. And Leo, by the way, former member of the Ontario Fury. Now, the team significantly improved leaps and bounds from the previous seasons, but obviously in order to make a deeper run, things need to be adjusted. You kind of alluded to this already. Going into free agency, we're going to be talking a lot about that during the offseason. Going into free agency, what would you say the biggest need for the team is as of right now?
I think, for me, it was clear from early in the season. Two needs, borderline three. One of them is we didn't have enough 1v1 threat. Justin Stinson really we had to carry a lot of the load when it comes to creating, as an individual. Like, we created well as a team. We've got special players. We've got maybe some of the best shooters in the league, but the ability to break a player down 1v1 and create mismatches and unbalance the other team, we lacked there. We had to rely on Justin a lot. And, when it's one player carrying such a load, then it's easier for other teams to have to defend that player. Because it's like, well, if we know it's Justin every time, then we can double up on Justin. We can make it hard on Justin. So the immediate need, and even speaking to Jeff, the managing partner there, is we need 1v1 threats. I'd love a couple lefties, but let's just start getting some righties through the door, like, to complement Justin and just basically create a dilemma for other teams. The other area, I thought we lacked a bit of athleticism. Just a bit of just raw athleticism to be able to to really break the game down from a physical point of view. I thought we were a little bit lacking there. And the last one is maybe a little bit of defensive, a few more defensive options. Obviously, we had Berto, who's for me still the best defender in the league. And then we had Aguirre, who's, you know, a proven defender in the league as well in his own right. But then after that, it was tricky. So we had to rely on them a lot, maybe too much at times. So that's another area of need. But yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of good players out there, and there's a lot of players who maybe are new to indoor who we need to tap into as well, because there's a wealth of talent in the States. A lot of, you know, American players, but also there's a lot of Brazilians, a lot of Mexicans. So it's just getting them through the door and showing them, you know, how to be effective.
Now, you've already mentioned the type of players that you're looking for, with it being free agency, and who knows, maybe we could spark some controversy and debate. All things being equal, if you had, you know, your opportunity at a wish list, do you have any players in mind that could potentially fill these voids that you would love to have if everything was open to you?
Yeah, a fun question for sure. Obviously, I don't know how much I want to give away, but there's, you know, those of us who pay attention to the league will know there's some big fish on the market for sure. Lead off with Sanchez from Milwaukee. Coming off a great year. You know, I think those of us paying attention will know that he was always a special player, and maybe the stats eventually caught up with that. But watching him play the last few years, the way he strikes the ball is a big problem. Obviously, he just went down to Kings League and on his debut scored an unbelievable goal from way downtown. And yeah, the guy 1v1 is maybe the number one threat in the league. Because when we played Milwaukee mid-season, and maybe 3 of the 6 videos we did leading into that game were, do not let this boy play. You've got to put him in a box. Don't let him get free in the field because he's too good. He's got fake shots. He can shoot on his left. He can shoot on his right. He can pass. You know, underrated defensively, gets back because of his speed. He can get back and make plays. So, yeah, he's a player. It'd be a dream to bring in someone like that. A player I've had the pleasure of working with, Luis Morales. You know, not only a top player, but a very impressive character. The way he carries himself, the way he speaks. He's sort of player that, you know, is going to be your most technical and impactful player on most rosters. But also just has a humble mentality of like, you need me to defend, I'm rolling up my shorts and defending. You know, you need me to have a quick shift, I'm going to do that. It's just those sorts of players, when you superstars are so humble like that, you know, you're only going to have success, I believe. And then maybe an underrated player who is so experienced at a young age is Pacheco, who's playing in Baltimore. I actually played a season with him many years ago, and he was a top player then, and he's only got better and better. He's added 1v1 threat. Obviously, he's a lefty. He defends really well, very proud. He's also got that Mexican spirit of, hey, you ain't getting past me. So yeah, you know, those are the sorts of players who they tick all those boxes athletically, individually, you know, their personalities. So, you know, and there's a lot of players underrated. If you pay attention in the league to all the teams, there's a lot of players who are coming up, who, you know, glue pieces in teams that are free agents. So, you know, the Steinwasser bros in Milwaukee, top players. You know, you watch the game closely. Those are the sorts of players that change a loss into a win, you know, with the way they work off the ball and, you know, their application on the field. So, yeah, it's exciting. Obviously, we've got a packed schedule of players to speak to when the time is right. And yeah, we'll see some exciting times ahead.
Exciting times ahead indeed. And thank you so much. Keep an eye out on any fun news that comes up. At least with Pacheco, you know, we have the ability to potentially bring him back because he's from around here. Now, look, I know you got a lot of other things on the mind with TST being around the corner. I look forward to seeing you in Carolina and chopping it up about free agency. We're going to keep bringing you back on afterwards. But, you know, good luck with Newtown over at TST. Bring home that 7-figure check, and we'll see you in Carolina.
Nice one. It's a pleasure, mate. Cheerio.
Thank you. All right. You just heard from the reigning Major Arena Soccer League Coach of the Year, Onua Obasi. We're going to be getting to bring him on a couple of times over the course of the offseason in order to talk about free agency and good stuff like that. I'm not sure if any of you remember the movie Wayne's World when Wayne storms off set when they were filming live. Garth was left all alone to maintain the show. I think it's safe to say I did not play the role of Garth because I was able to hold this down. The man, though, who was playing a little Houdini, now you see him, now you don't. I think he's back. Tim, Earth to Tim over in Placentia, you there?
Here I am, Philly. Here I am. I've come back, my friend. I went all the way to Mogadishu, and now I'm back.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's you run into traffic on the way from Placentia to Somalia, so I hear you. All right, well, Tim, let's move on, and we'll talk about Angel City FC. A lot of awesome call-ups and a lot of girls that are well-deserving of their call-ups. Why don't we go through that list? And if you stall, I'll keep an eye on you because I'll take over from here.
Why don't you lead it off, my friend? You take it from here because I've got the big signing. I didn't catch all of the call-ups, and I don't want to miss anybody. That would be rude.
All right, fair enough. So big shout out to Angelina Anderson, Angel City's goalkeeper. She got called up to the U.S. U23. She's going to get to travel to Germany for a couple of international friendlies. Congrats to her. Alyssa Thompson gets the call up ahead of the U.S.'s matchup against China and Jamaica. Alyssa Thompson doing awesome things, and she's just such a unbelievable talent. A shout out to Casey Fair, who gets the call up to compete with Korea in her international friendly. She's going to be there. Giselle Thompson gets the call up. She's going to be joining her sister for the U.S. women's national senior team against China and Jamaica. And Riley Tiernan, guest on the pod, Riley Tiernan gets the call-up for the U23 for the U.S. women's national team. She, too, will head on with Angelina Anderson to head to Germany for 2 international friendlies. Congrats. And then Brianna Norris, I mean, the list keeps going on. She's going to get to compete with the U23 Mexico national team for some international friendly competition. So the hits keep on coming. Angel City FC players are getting recognized, getting call-ups. Some call-ups obviously more frequent than the others, but this is just a testament to how hard these girls have worked, and we're so incredibly proud of them. But as they head on over to compete in international duty, speaking of international, a big splash of a signing for Angel City. Tim, I know you've been holding on to this one for a while. Get into it, buddy.
Yeah, this was huge. This was just announced, and depending on how you want to say it, it's either Stendis Jane or Stendis on John's daughter, and she is John's daughter, and she is an Icelandic international. And this is huge. You want to talk about the continued youth movement of Angel City FC. She is 23 years old, and she has a whirlwind of accolades already, including the 2021 Icelandic Woman Footballer of the Year. And then played for, and you're going to help me out with the German pronunciation of this, but it's Frauen Bundesliga title with VfL Wolfsburg in 2022. She is an outstanding footballer, an outstanding soccer player. And she's going to come in, and I think because of her age, she's just a year too older than most of the rest of the team. I think she's going to fit in perfectly with these 19, 20, 21-year-olds and really shake up this lineup and really start driving the ball home for Angel City, Philly.
Yeah, she's gonna be incredible. I mean, so it's important to note that in the Bundesliga for die Frauen, you said that du hast das richtig gesagt. Bayern Munich, obviously the team that's been dominant, and so Angel City brings in their head coach Alexander Strauss. But Jonsdottir playing at Wolfsburg, this is a team that would be the second best. And a couple of years ago, they actually usurped Bayern's position on top of the Bundesliga for the Frauen. So she is an excellent talent, and we are beyond excited to have her on the team. All right, let's talk about Angel City's game up north against Bay FC real quick. It was a game in which Angel City, unfortunately, was shut out on the road. It was all the goals that really took place transpired within the first half. 23rd minute. What a goal and brilliant ball movement with a through ball that wasn't necessarily a through ball. It found its way from Taylor Huff to Penelope Hocking. Dorian Bailey was the intended recipient. Now, whether that through ball was there or accidental, Hocking found it and absolutely smashes it past Anderson, and it was just an incredible goal. Great ball movement by Bay FC, and Penelope Hocking, man, what a goal.
Yeah, top 90 far post. I mean, how can you hit a ball better than that? And like you said, there was a little the through ball on that did kind of maybe not, but there was a little clip from one of the Bay FC players, but it landed right at the feet of Hocking, and she just does not make a mistake on this Philly, and she just buries this thing far post. It's just a beauty of a goal, and the goalkeeper's got no chance on this one, buddy.
No, and 5 minutes later, unfortunately, Angelina Anderson would get thrust into the middle of the whole scenario once again. A missed tackle. The attack didn't stop. Angelina Anderson was forced to come up and try to make a play on Caroline Conti. Unfortunately, she made a little too much contact on Conti, and so that resulted in a penalty kick. So we're talking 11 meters to glory, or 12 yards, depending on what you like to use. I usually like to say 11 meters because growing up in an Eastern European household, that's what we referenced, 11 meters. But Conti manages to smack it to the bottom left corner with her right foot. Anderson guessed correctly, but there was nothing she could do. 2-0 is how that game would end. Both teams would really go after one another significantly. Angel City would have the lion's share of shots with 17, but only 4 on target. Bay FC would also have 4 shots on target with 11 shots, but of course they were a little more clinical in their finishing. So that's how that game ends, unfortunately, for Angel City. They will be competing against Racing Louisville, though, in the next couple of days at 7 p.m. on Saturday, May the 24th at BMO Stadium. Tim, let's take a look at Louisville.
Yeah, they sit at 11 points through their first 9 matches, and they've got a 3-4-2 record. The surprising thing about Racing is that they're only 1-3-1 at home, so they're not very good on their home turf, which is not the way things normally go when you're in front of your home crowd. You're normally playing a lot better. The other thing is they've in their total of 9 matches, they've only got 9 goals for and 14 against. So when they're winning, they're not winning by a whole lot of goals. And when they're losing, they're giving up a couple extra ones. So it'll be a very interesting game to see how Angel City comes out and presses them to make sure that they can take advantage of the 1-3-1 home record that Racing is trying to hold on to and trying to make it 2-3-1. But Angel City has got a lot of good, strong people that can come up, play, like we've mentioned, everybody that's being called up for international duty. But when you are sporting just a 1-3-1 home record, the win is there for the taking for Angel City, buddy.
Of course. Now, Racing has scored 7 goals in their last 5 matches, and they've got, quite a bit of talent on their team as well. I mean, starts with Taylor Flint, without a doubt, one of Racing's best players. Savannah DeMello, she's been taking care of business lately. She's created the most chances for Racing Louisville. And then Emma Sears, a threat. She hasn't scored as many goals. In fact, I'm lying to you because she has 4 goals for Racing to go along with Kayla Fisher and Savannah DeMello. These are the girls that you have to pay attention to if you're on the Angel City side of things. Now, as we've said before, the best way to get revenge for a loss is to win in your next contest. And once again, the next contest for Angel City is going to be at BMO Saturday, May the 24th at 7 p.m. Good luck to the girls and congratulations on the call-ups, and so excited for Jan's daughter. All right, Tim, you're in Placentia behind the orange curtain. You love Orange County. We love Orange County on the show. Did Orange County love themselves, though, over the weekend?
Oh, this one was a tough one, Philly. They were playing at the Champ, and they had some good stuff. Tristan Traeger he's had that little knock earlier in the season, but he gets the start up top with Cameron Dunbar, and things go great within the first 10 minutes. They really were putting it to New Mexico United. And a couple of really nice shots on goal, including one by Kyle Scott. But the New Mexico goalkeeper, Chris Shakes, who's filling on for their normal goalkeeper who took a red card last weekend, gets his mitts on it, to deny Scott's chance. And after that, the County boys just had a tough slog, man. It was raining here at the Champ down in Irvine, and 27 minutes in, things go off the rails as there's a clear handling in the box. Defender goes down. I'm not going to name names, but defender goes down and puts his hands up like this, and ball clunks right off his hand, and it's a clear penalty. And New Mexico, they pull in Talon Maples, and he just comes up to the spot, and he absolutely befuddles poor Colin Shuttler. He didn't know what to do, and Colin Shuttler doesn't move on this thing because Maples really puts it to him on the penalty kick and puts it in 1-0, 27 minutes in. There was another PK late, and then there was a late misplay by the defense, and the game ends up 3-0. But we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, Philly, with Colorado Springs coming in. The County boys had to do something before the end of the game, and there was a kerfluffle in the 90th minute with 4 yellow cards handed out because Orange County had just had enough. They were down 3-0. They needed to do something to keep the blood boiling, and they put up a little bit of fight there at the end in the 90th minute against New Mexico United. So I expect with Colorado Springs coming in this weekend on a big game that is actually going to be showed on KCAL Channel 9. So they've moved the game up to 6 p.m. So make sure you're there early. The Beer Fest starts a little early because they have moved it up for TV, which is awesome. I think that the County boys are going to come in. They're going to be really fired up because this is the last game they have at home for 4 weeks. They're on the road for the next month. So you got to get out. You got to catch these guys and see it at the Champ, because seeing the County boys play at the Orange County, at the stadium there in Irvine, it's fun. It's 5,500 people, and it's going to be a packed house. And because KCAL wanted them to move it up to a 6 o'clock start time, they're giving tickets out for only $9.99, Philly, at $10. And there's still, as of about an hour ago, there's still about 20 of them left. So if you want to go take the family and pay only $40 for a family of 4 to go see the game, it's something you got to do this Saturday night. And they got an ample parking lot with free parking. This is the greatest. It is one of the best venues to go see a game. It's one of the best values to go see high-end professional soccer. And Colorado Springs is, they've come into the game on a little bit of a lull at 1-1-3 in their last 5. But the reality is they're a pretty decent team, and the County boys are going to be gunning for them because they haven't played great over the past few games. They're 2-3 in their last 5. And I'm really looking for them to come out, really put it to Colorado, and really get this win in front of what should be a packed house. Because I know that the Gnarlyville, where the family-friendly, kid-friendly, and the new Michelob Ultra zone is going to be, it's going to be a rocking party, Philly. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Have we gotten an idea? Gnarly, is he at all related to the mascot of the Philadelphia Flyers? Because they clearly seem to be cut from the same cloth, no pun intended. But yes, I challenge any of you out there to find better value for your buck when it comes down to professional outdoor soccer. Of course, you want great value for your buck when it comes to indoor. It's all about the Empire Strykers. All right, so that concludes the Orange County segment of the show. So that means since we've covered every team thus far, we got to be heading in to a best of is our Soccer in 60s interpretation of the best players in this area that we obviously follow based on their performance given a specific period of time. In this case, May the 15th through the 21st. I'm going to quickly go through the list, and then we're going to rap about it really quickly. All right, in between the sticks, for LAFC would be Hugo Lloris. Defenders, Giselle Thompson for her performance against Bay FC, and Megan Reed. For another rounding out the defenders, Ryan Hollingshead. The midfields, Kyle Scott for Orange County, Nico Benalcazar for Orange County, Marco Royce, no question about that, for the Galaxy, and Marky Delgado for LAFC. Up top, We have Denny Bawanga, of course, with a goal like that, he has to be on this list. Nathan Ordaz, for the goal that he had, has to be on this list. And Alyssa Thompson makes the list as well. Let's talk about this best 11. Tim, anything strike you as not needing to be where it is? What do you think of this list? What's your first impression?
You know what? First impressions are this is a great list. I really like that Marky Delgado, while it pains me that he's still on LAFC, but Marky Delgado has just played amazing. He played amazing against the Galaxy. To play that well against the former team, it's really fun to watch him play. Nico Ben Alcazar, friend of the show, he had a great game. Kyle Scott played well. I really like the fact that we did put in Hugo Lloris at goalkeeper. He did play very, very well in this game, and it's fun to see him on the list. Anybody stand out to you there, Philly?
I mean, look, I would say Hugo Lloris made the list because none of the other keepers had a solid performance. I have to say that right then and there. I think between Lloris and John McCarthy, he wins that battle. Angelina Anderson, obviously, with the foul in the box, conceding two. Obviously, we talked about Orange County. Hugo Lloris is just the lesser of all the evils that took place there. You could argue that he probably should have made that save on the free kick by Marco Reus. I'm just saying.
That was a ridiculous free kick. That was a ridiculous free kick by Marco Reus, though. The guys jump. The ball goes up 9.5 feet in the air and drops down to 2 feet below off the ground. Nobody's saving that. Chet Messing's not saving that ball.
No, not at all. Marco Reus, man, what a performance. We've been talking about how he's been injury plagued and how he hasn't really had much of an impact on the Galaxy since coming from Borussia Dortmund in the German Bundesliga. It turns out that maybe he's not going to be one of the worst designated players that have come out from Germany. That moniker is still going to be belonging to Bastian Schweinsteiger, at least for a little while longer. But the first goal was huge. Obviously, the unbelievable free kick that he had. Marco Reus has to be on this list. Masterful performance. And then Marky Delgado playing against his former club, first time back in there. A little bit of controversy, though, with how he got his ring on a Friday. Like, there's a bunch of bad PR stuff that took place over the weekend that we haven't talked about. But, first and foremost, Marco Reus, captain. No questions about that.
Yeah, I think he has to be the captain with being right place, right time, and then the special goal in the 87th minute. I think there's nobody else that's the captain.
All right, folks, we're running out of time. In fact, we got seconds. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on all your socials. Soccer and 60 on KMET. On your podcast, just look up Soccer and 60. Find us on Spotify, Apple, a couple other places that I've run out of time to tell you about. But again, thank you so much. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you next week. Later.